And now for a smoke.
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. This is a movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts most of the time. I hope you enjoyed last week's interview with one of my favorite actors growing up, whether it be Toy Soldiers, you got Adventures in Babysitting, and of course, Dishes Are Done, Man. The best. Keith Coogan was so cool to talk to about his career. But when we looked at his IMDb, he didn't really have any sequels. So we had to decide what to do. Jamie had the great idea of going, well, at first we were like, what are we going to do? And then Jamie had the great idea, let's go back to one of like the original sequels, one of the greatest movies I think I've ever seen, Bride of Frankenstein. But before I say anything else about some of these very graphic death scenes that happen in this movie that you don't expect at first, and then they happen, I got to introduce you to my partner in the sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how are you?
Doing fantastic, Doug. How are you doing?
Really good. This is like, obviously, I know some of these rougher movies that we watch, these cheesy sequels that I love that you hate. Yeah. I think this movie, like, really, it was amazing. For a movie, it's really cool. Like, I was telling my daughter about this. She's 7. I'm like, Emerson, I just watched a movie that is not as old as her great-grandma, but I'm like, this movie is like really good. Like, looks really good. Special effects are really good. Sets are really good. Dialogue's really good. It's very odd to see things hold up, but these and obviously
from
all
1935. I mean,
wild.
I as I'm watching, I said the same thing. I said, it's amazing the stuff they did there, just the look of it. Some of the special effects they had, and I mean, we'll get into it. I do have 2 right off the bat questions regarding the title.
Okay.
But I don't know if you want to introduce our guest first.
I want to introduce our guest, but What did you want? Nuptials? You wanted an actual wedding scene, picking out the flowers?
I'm just saying, because, I want to dive right into this because last year was the year of bad movies, and we're starting off, with a great movie, and we're starting off with a bunch in the can that are coming up that are all good. So I think this is going to be the year of the good movie.
Yeah, so like you said, let me introduce our guest. Really cool to have somebody that actually has family ties to this movie.
Royalty.
And royalty, universal royalty, Antonia Carlotta. Antonia, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
Really good. It's so cool that Jamie connected with you. And you have an amazing YouTube channel that's just at Antonia Carlotta, which I'll put in the episode notes. And people can follow you on Instagram at the same name, at Antonia Carlotta. And I'll put that in there as well. But pretty wild. It's like, this is one question when Jamie first reached out to me and said this, like, hey, I got this special guest that's going to be on. My first thing is, when were you like aware, like self-aware of the family history?
And to give listeners an idea of what my family history is, my great uncle Carl Laemmle started Universal Studios, and he and his son Junior Laemmle produced Bride of Frankenstein. His son Junior Laemmle was really the driving force behind all the Universal monsters: Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Invisible Man. That was all Junior. So awesome. I have always loved like movies and horror, but I didn't really have a sense of my own connection, especially to these Universal monsters, until I was probably in high school. When I was a little kid, I lived in Connecticut. I kind of knew my family worked in movies, but that didn't mean anything to me at the time. When I moved to California a little bit before high school, that's when suddenly the history was all around me. I could go to Universal Studios. I could see Laemmle theaters in LA. I had friends whose family was working in the film business and they knew of my family. And all of that really helped me understand like the gravity of what they had done. And then on top of that, like, Carl Laemmle not only founded Universal Studios, but he also won a Supreme Court case against Thomas Edison, and he saved hundreds of Jewish refugees in the 1930s, and is just like a name that nobody knows. So it also kind of became my mission to like share his story and share his work, because it just feels kind of like a travesty to me.
No,
I gotta look that up. So against Thomas Edison, we're in New Jersey. Jamie grew up in New York, but
yeah.
Right? You grew up in New York?
Yeah, I grew up in New York and Jersey now. And so let me ask you, once you found out the history, did your view of watching movies change? From just watching it as a regular movie, and now it's like it's a little different. Now you're viewing the movies in a different way.
I think I definitely, I mean, especially Universal movies, I'll watch a little bit more to try to almost learn bits about my family and what was important to them or what they enjoyed. It does feel like a way to connect to them. And it's just a world that I want to be more a part of now, I think, because of that. And speaking of New Jersey, Universal actually started in Fort Lee, New Jersey. That's where that was sort of the birth of the film industry, was on the East Coast, so New York and Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Fort Lee, the bridge over to New York.
Yeah, and a big part of why it moved to California is because of Thomas Edison. He had a whole monopoly over the industry. He was pretty tyrannical about it.
Who knew Thomas Edison was a troublemaker?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just wow.
He gets a pretty good revisionist rewrite these days, but
I got new research. There's a town, Edison, New Jersey, and there's like a Thomas Edison State College and a Thomas Edison Park.
Okay, well now it makes sense.
Not a good guy, but he helped to have it be in sunny California. You imagine if New Jersey was the where the film industry was, I don't think it would be that, it wouldn't be like, wow, the bright lights.
Fort Lee is such a compacted town. I'm surprised, of all cities in New Jersey, Fort Lee is, that's weird.
I'm going to visit it. Actually, just in a couple weeks, I'll be in Fort Lee, New Jersey. They still have a museum there. I think it's called the Barrymore Film Center that covers a lot of the history of film in the area.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, at the time, so Thomas Edison sued Carl Laemmle specifically 289 times, which I think the goal was just to bog him down in lawsuits and put him out of the business. But Carl fought them all. That was part of how his sort of independent production company became Universal, because he combined it with all of these other film companies to fight Edison. And then just to get physical distance between him and Edison, because Edison had these guys who would come destroy your projectors and, tear down your theater. It was kind of mafia style. So just to put physical distance between Edison and Universal and the film industry, they moved out west. And then once they got here, they were like, oh, the weather's great. We can film year round. It's beautiful. We've got all
I'm no
of these
longer a fan of Thomas
3
Edison
hours.
now.
Oh, man. Were your parents in the film industry when you were in Connecticut?
No, not at all. It skipped a couple generations.
Oh, okay. So none of even your aunts and uncles weren't involved?
So some of them. So my family was forced to sell Universal in 1936. So not too long after The Bride of Frankenstein.
Wow.
And I did have relatives. I had a great-grandfather who was a director at Universal, but he died in the 30s. I had a great aunt who she speaks the opening lines in Dracula. She was the prima ballerina in Phantom of the Opera. Wow. She lived to be 104, so she only passed away in 2014. But she would do acting things here and there in her older years, but she was old by the time I knew her.
But that's cool.
Yeah, I have my family, cousins of mine still own the Laemmle theaters. People are around, but my parents were not in the business.
So I could see, I think it's your Instagram that says you're a historian, or is it your YouTube is it your Instagram?
Oh, yeah. Well, so now I've become, sort of the family historian. I have my YouTube channel, Universally Me, and I'm kind of digging into it all and finding my own path myself to get into the industry.
But that's, there's so much history besides the movie side. So that's awesome. I mean, like I said, I watch a bunch of your videos and definitely each one just opens your eyes to something new that I didn't even know. So, which is great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, very cool. So we'll get into the movie. I just had one more question. Oh yeah, but you did some acting, right?
I did some in my younger years. Yeah. I think I struggled. Clearly I didn't do the Nepo baby path properly. Yeah. I struggled a little bit in the industry with you can do sort of all the work and all the things right, but it doesn't equate to input output. And that was tough for me. So I don't know. I made my exit.
It is hard. There's such luck in the industry. talked to so many people that just like, hey, I went with my friend to the audition, and I was waiting in the lobby. They said, hey, do you want to come in? And it's like, I wasn't even thinking about acting. And then I got the role, and then my life changed. So yeah, no, it is totally different. Even the best person doesn't get the role. It just could be that moment when that person reads that script. Maybe somebody I just talked to 2 weeks ago. They were like, oh yeah, maybe they just read my script because he goes, because it was right after lunch that I met with him. So maybe because he just ate and he felt good, he was like, maybe it's that. He goes, I really don't know. But there are so many factors that can go in just into somebody's mood that's giving you the audition or when they're reading that script. But yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So I didn't go that path, but anytime an opportunity comes my way, like I love that world. I take it.
No, that's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's awesome.
Sweet. So yeah. So let's get into this movie because I think one of my favorite things about watching the old Universal movies is just that intro. And even thinking about just the stop motion that's involved in the globe, in the airplane that goes around, it just really sets you into this like, wow, I could really disappear into this movie.
I never thought about it being stop motion before.
No, and you know,
yeah, I was just guessing that. I've done stop motion with like clay and stuff, just the way it looks, because they could have probably obviously had something spinning one way and then the plane moving, like going across, but it just has this amazing, perfect look. And I don't know if they ever, right? Because then they went to, what was after that Universal logo wise? Just the globe, right? And then they went to the big globe with the big Universal over it.
That's what it is now. And they've gone through different, there for a while, I think was just the Universal text with stars all around it. There was a brief time where the Universal globe had Carl Laemmle's head in it. I think that was in the 20s or 30s. So they've experimented with different ones. But yeah, now it's the big like dun 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 dun.
yeah.
There used to be a different song in like the 40s. It was like this sort of upbeat march, like dun 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 dun.
Did he use the same like mute like the orchestra or like for a lot of his movies? Like was it like the same group that he always used?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. Not sure.
Like,
I know a recurring
I'm sure
song in a lot of Universal Monster movies is Swan Lake. Which I think is partly because they didn't have to like pay for it. It was cheap.
Well,
but I'm not
feel like
sure who recorded it.
When you watch his movies, though, a lot of the music sounds so familiar. Like, like from each movie. And it just, I was curious because, I mean, a lot of it makes the movie. Like a lot of the scenes in this one, when you hear some of the music, it's just so great, But before we even get into the movie, I want to talk about the title for two reasons. Okay. So one, I think it's a travesty that The Bride is not in anything more than 4 minutes.
Yeah.
To me, I'm waiting. Like I don't think I've ever even. I don't remember seeing this movie. Right. I mean, I remember seeing parts. I definitely saw scenes. But I'm like, I think the movie's 94 minutes long, and I'm at 90 minutes. I'm like, are we going to see The Bride yet? And I'm like surprised at how little time that she was in the movie, but she made such an impact for that 4 minutes that I think that they could have used her a lot more, or at least in another movie, and they never did. And I'm just curious why, like, it was just so little time that they spent with her. So that was question one. And two, so we get two, it's called The Bride of Frankenstein, but Frankenstein's the doctor.
Oh,
so
I know. Yeah.
If you don't know anything about the movie, you're thinking that it's a love story that the doctor is finding his new wife. So like, but those are my two questions with the title.
So, I'll start by saying like there's a very big, especially when you get into, the monster community, a very consistent argument is whether the monster is like Frankenstein is the monster or Frankenstein is the doctor. And if you call the monster Frankenstein, people will be very upset with you. I personally fall into the camp of like, it's not that serious. And we all know who you're talking about. And I think that there are times when Universal has, leaned into calling the monster Frankenstein. And the Frankenstein is of the doctor and therefore is, has the same last name, I guess you could say. I think that the bride is also a bride of the doctor, he made that bride. And therefore that could explain it.
And I only say it
I'm also
jokingly because
not
I
sure.
agree.
What do you have like an alternate title suggestion?
Do I have?
Wow, there you go.
Well, again, I'm not one of the, like. I agree with you. I'm not one of the nerdists that will really get upset about it.
It
To
is
me,
a funny joke. I get my daughter to do that too.
What?
Just as a joke, just say like somebody calls her Frankenstein. She goes,
of
monster.
course. And come on, everybody knows it's Frankenstein. I mean, you're going to go on Halloween, you're walking around with a green mask. Everybody knows you're Frankenstein. You know?
I know.
Alternative title. How about the Bride of the Monsters not in the movie until the last 4 minutes of the movie?
Wow. I don't know if that would fit on a poster too well. That'd be a little jumbled. But I think maybe for the shock of it, because people know from the original, like we were talking about earlier, is like when it, I don't even know if we're recording yet, like when it comes to the sequel. Oh, no, I think we were. So maybe it's because we're going to focus on this main character that we know the audience loves. And then the shock at the end. I watched an interview from like 1970. It was Elsa Lanchester, and she was talking about the sound she makes at the end, how
hissing?
it like resembled like the hissing like a swan she saw in the London park, and she did it live, and it's just maybe if she was in it longer, it wouldn't be as like wild the way you see her move, and when you see her hair revealed like for the first time. But no, it isn't enough. Like, I wasn't looking at the runtime while I was watching the movie because I was really enjoying the movie. So I wasn't checking that at all. But to me, it was so wild how you see her and then it's like, oh, okay, this is pretty fast.
Yeah.
Also-
on one side, I wish she was in it more because I love her so much. But at least for this movie, I can respect that, he's in search of companionship or acceptance the whole film, and we're leading to that climax with her. And I don't know how you could have, at least in this movie, which I love, I don't know how you could have her in it more and still tell that same story.
Well, I think if you did have her in it more, it would almost be comical, right? Because now you're seeing a life of Frankenstein and his wife, and how what kind of plot are you going to have about that? They're going around, so I think I agree. I mean, I just think like she's such an iconic looking character. Everybody, she should have been in other movies at least. Like, they could have had. I mean, Abbott and Costello. They had all the other ones. Why not throw her in there as well? Like, and I know, it's funny. I mean, I love Young Frankenstein. I didn't realize that Young Frankenstein took it from The Bride of Frankenstein because there's so many elements of this movie.
Yeah, I think Bride of Frankenstein and Son of Frankenstein make up the bulk of Young Frankenstein. There's so much pulled directly from it, which I loved Young Frankenstein as a kid, not understanding my own connection. And then when I watched these movies, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is Elsa Lanchester in the prologue as well, right?
Mary Shelley.
That's her playing
Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley.
Yeah.
So she gets a little extra time. And that role was supposed to be a little bulkier, but it had to get cut because we were by 1935, we're in the era of film censorship and the Hays Code. And they thought her cleavage was too suggestive, so they had to cut a little bit. And they made a lot of, James Whale, the director, had a very dry, progressive sense of humor. He was an openly gay man in Hollywood at a time when that was very rare. He made some references to, forsaking marriage and living life like wild and free or full and free or something. All of that had to get cut. So she might have had a slightly bigger role.
I read that too, that they were talking about basically like open marriage in that opening scene. And it's crazy to think that is something that was being cut, but I get it. But that opening scene is so cool, which I think is so ahead of its time. Like you mentioned before we started recording, like the reasoning, like why they did that to almost fill people in the gaps of, hey, this is what happened in the movie that you might not have seen because there's no way to see it unless it was you saw when it came out or if there was a second run theater around. But it was like so awesome the way they did it. Like, knowing that, I can go watch the first one, but really cool the way they fill you in this beautiful place. Beautiful setting, the piano, the extremely high ceilings. It was like, wow, this is amazing. And it's Mary Shelley just hanging out. Like,
and it sets the tone, I think, really well. They're, kind of funny and sarcastic together and silly. And I think that Bride of Frankenstein has so much humor in it. It really is a dark comedy in so many ways, and that really helps set it up. while filling people in who either never saw Frankenstein or don't remember Frankenstein.
Well, I think that's what I after watching it, I don't even consider it a horror. Like
There's some horrific things in this movie.
Okay, yeah, but just because there's horrific things in it doesn't make it a horror. I mean, like to me, it was definitely almost more of a drama with the Frankenstein of the life he's trying to have and he can't get, and it was like because it wasn't really scary, right? I mean, like and obviously for the time, but it was just like the travesty of his life that he's just trying to live. Like a human, and it was more of a drama to me, and which made the beginning of them telling the story start introducing that story to life, and I think that was important to do that, and I think it made the movie, that much more engaging.
Yeah. No, Frankenstein. Just seeing him, especially in the castle, like in the opening scene. One thing I wanted to ask, and like when I think of Frankenstein, it's like Boris Karloff. You think of that. I wonder, was he always credited as Karloff? In the beginning of the movie, it's like monster and it says Karloff in like these big letters. Everybody else, normal names.
So in the first Frankenstein film, he was actually only credited with a question mark. So he didn't get his name at all. He had been in the industry as for many years, but always just bit parts here and there. He was like barely scraping by. He just kind of was in the right place, right time. James Whale sees him, I think, in the cafeteria at Universal one day. He does a test, like a makeup test for Frankenstein, gets the part, but they bill him as just a question mark. He's not big enough to care about. But Frankenstein is really the movie that launches him to stardom. So even the next year, then he's in The Mummy. That's when they're crediting him just as Karloff. And in the Mummy poster, you'll see suddenly his name is as big as the title, The Mummy. So he's,
cool.
His fame is exponential. So that was sort of how Universal credited him, I think, particularly in the monster films for the next few years.
Did he get bigger? Did they make him taller and bigger in the later movies? Because I remember Abbott and Costello, he was huge.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely he had like lifts in his boots, and he had.
Because in this movie, he's not that tall. He's tall, but like he didn't seem like Frankenstein tall.
Mm-hmm. He is not the monster in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. He only played the monster. Sorry, I just thought of this in Frankenstein the Bride and Son of Frankenstein.
Oh, wow.
Then I think Lon Chaney plays the monster in a film, and then Glenn Strange starts playing the monster.
Wasn't Lon Chaney the Wolfman?
He was the Wolfman, but in maybe like Curse of Frankenstein or House of Frankenstein, one of those, he briefly played the monster.
Wow.
Yeah, Lon Chaney Jr. is, I think, the only person to play all of the major monsters.
Oh, that's cool.
Bela Lugosi played many of them, but never the Wolfman.
Okay, interesting.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So that might be also why he looks a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Okay.
Bigger guy.
Gotcha.
Different
And then
guy.
I was reading again, you don't know if anything, I'm sure you've done some research, but it says he got hurt early on in the filmmaking. Like in that scene, the opening scene, which we'll get into, when he fell in, he really got hurt. Once I read that, he is really laboring in a lot of scenes.
Yeah, he had a brutal time filming every single Frankenstein, which I think is why he stopped after Son of Frankenstein, or one of the reasons. On the first film, so for all films, he was in that makeup chair for like 4 hours every single day, getting made up and putting everything on. His costume weighed, I think, something like 20 pounds between, the boots that were 5 pounds each or maybe a little more. He had like rods in his legs. He had, the big coat, all the makeup and stuff. In the first film, there's this mountain that he has to carry Colin Clive up like over and over and over again. So he had back problems the rest of his life. The experience, it was one of the reasons that he became a founding member of the Screen Actors Guild, so that other people didn't have to go through what he went through filming. But,
cool.
By 1935, we're still not perfect. So, he continued to struggle.
So he only played Frankenstein 3 times?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
He did some promotion. You'll see some pictures of him promoting Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, I think at a theater
Right.
some of that, but he wasn't in it. At a certain point, it was so grueling. With Son of Frankenstein 2, you'll see, like, he's not really the center of the film anymore. There's not a lot left to do with the monster, and he took the monster very seriously. He would call the monster the best friend he ever had. So he just felt like the respect wasn't there. And he didn't want Abbott and Costello necessarily making, like, a mockery of this character that he loved.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's awesome. And then he was in, because I know for a fact he was in The Killer. I just double checked it because I'm like, I know one of them it is in another Abbott and Costello movie, but that's pretty interesting.
Wow. Okay.
So now we get to, we talked about like, how they're basically, catching everybody up on the original movie. And then we cut to it because we see, like, right away, we see some shots from the previous movie while they're explaining it, right? We see Frankenstein, we see like Igor, but they call him Dwarf. They don't call him Igor in this, they just call him Dwarf.
He is in the original Frankenstein, he is oh my god, this is gonna kill me. Dwight Fry is Fritz.
It's a different Igor, like in both movies.
He's Fritz in the first one. In the second film, Dwight Fry is still in it, but he plays Carl, one of the like other sort of gravedigger guys.
So when did Igor
comes
start?
along in Son of Frankenstein, played by Bela Lugosi.
Oh wow!
Oh really? That's cool. I gotta watch that one now.
I really don't want to get that wrong, but I'm pretty positive that in this one he's Carl. Because Pretorius is sort of the lab assistant in this one, and in the first one, he was Fritz.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so
that opening scene, like just everyone with the torches and the woman that could have been played by Frau Blucher, that lady was amazing. Like I could see her play that role, which is the greatest thing.
You talking about Minnie?
Yeah, Una O'Connor is her real name. She's one of the most divisive characters in classic horror because she's always, running around screaming. She's in The Invisible Man as well. And quite a few other films. She, played that character very well. But she's so hysterical that some people find her incredibly annoying.
I found her funny. I thought she was very funny, and I think her overacting of all these different scenes in it, I think it was great. And that's why I've said Frau Blucher, because I almost feel like she had the look. I mean, it were definitely different personalities, but she had the kind of look that Frau Blucher has.
Oh yeah, that could have been her like grandma. Like that could have been a relative or the way.
At first, I thought she was the witch from The Wizard of Oz. Like she sounded like the witch a little bit. Like she has that voice.
Oh man, so funny. So one of the things that's really cool about this, thinking about the shots there in this movie, and again, there's like a million facts. We can't talk about all of them. But one thing I thought was why I was a cinematographer, again, is this 100% accurate? But he was like an alcoholic, and he would just like be able to like they couldn't even trust him to drive. So they had a car that was there to bring him to set, bring him home, but he was like pretty fast setting up stuff. It's insane, some of these shots. And there's a dolly shot in this movie that for 1935, I was like scratching my head how they nailed it. Right in that sort of opening scene when we see the doctor and it like pulls out like really far. And I think that's when we cut to the burning and everything we see that's going on at the castle.
Yes. I don't have a ton to add on to that, but like, yes to all of it.
Yeah.
And yes, it's amazing. I think, when I think about the cinematography and the direction, my mind goes to the creation scene at the end.
Oh my God.
Which, like, I've heard described as operatic. Like, it's just so dramatic and beautiful and amazing. I'm still working on my skill of identifying like, dolly shot, or
oh yeah, I just know when it gets pulled back, like, and doing like really simple filmmaking stuff. But no, it was just so cool the way it gets drawn out, and then right. This is when they find Dr. Frankenstein. He's dead, and you're like, oh, we have to let his fiance know because he's getting married. And you're thinking like, oh, he's getting married. So he's getting married, like maybe next week. No, it was like at the wedding. She's waiting there, and they bring up the body. And it's like, oh my God, like what a way to ruin, not like, oh my God, he's so late. He's hanging out with his experiments again with his friends. And then boom, he's dead. He shows up dead.
No, in the first film, like he's not a very good fiance. He's always kind of abandoning. In the first film, it's actually played by a different actress. They replaced her in the second movie. But he's always kind of abandoning the monster, abandoning her. Not great.
Was he dead in the first movie? Like, and then they weren't sure about a sequel, so like they figured he was dead, and then
he gets thrown from the top of the windmill. He lands on the thing as it spins and then like drops to the floor. I mean, the implication is that he's dead, and the implication is that the monster is as well, who burns and collapses in the windmill. But
see, I can't believe how violent. For I mean, I don't know what the rules were back then, but for 1935, I mean, the monster throws the woman down the well. I mean, he does like all these different things. Like it's pretty violent for the time, and I was surprised at some of the things I saw. I was like, wow,
Yeah, the 1931 film came out in the pre-code era, so it didn't have a lot of pushback on a lot of it. I know that at a certain point, the line about "now I know what it's like to be God" got pulled out, and the throwing the little girl in the lake got pulled out. But for the most part, it got through at the time okay. By the time 1935 came around, a lot of stuff did get removed. But it was, and there are some deaths, like Dwight Fry's character was supposed to die pretty gruesomely. They cut that. But a lot of the other stuff that got removed was kind of, like I said, with the prologue stuff that was like sexually suggestive. A lot of religious references had to be changed or cut. A little less focus on the violence, I guess.
Yeah, they're like, let's have the violence happen. It's perfect that you mentioned the little girl. How about like we see the scene with the uncle? Like the uncle, and I'm assuming that was like I'm guessing that was like his mom. But he is like, yeah, I want to make sure that monster's dead. It's like, okay, why are we, that's why it's so cool about this movie. And I'm sure, again, there's something from this that's borrowed from some story 100 years before and 100 years before, but it's so crazy how it was always that in movies, we got to make sure this guy's dead. Horror movies, action movies.
Well, he was the father. I think his daughter died in the first movie.
That's what I mean. He's
Maria.
the uncle.
No, he was the father.
Why? No, it's the uncle.
He was the uncle?
He
I thought
says
he was the father.
Yeah, he drowned my niece in the lake. That's the line that he says.
He threw my Maria in the lake.
That's what I thought.
My Maria? Is that what it is? Okay.
I think so.
That's the father, right?
I think so. That's
what I've always... a bad memory, Doug.
That's what I've always
I wrote it down wrong then. But the fact that he like has to go check, it's like, I get that. You need to see that. But the fact that the timing, the way he leans in and then falls in, like you think that what's really cool is how they didn't do the same thing twice. Like they could have done maybe the same thing. Camera set up, let's do the same exact shot with the, if that's his mom, but he falls in, sees the monster. It's like this horrific thing and he gets drowned. And then when the mom looks over, it's like the perfect timing of like a hand. And it's like, oh, honey. No.
Yeah, but Doug, you sound surprised that he wants to check the body's dead. I mean, how many horror movies?
That's what I mean. I'm saying this is like the beginning of that.
Yeah, but they don't do it anymore. Like they never check if they're dead.
Scream. I'm sure in Scream 7
they're always alive after that. What are you talking about?
Let me check one more time.
Never. Every time they think someone's dead, they leave it and they leave, and then they find out that they're still alive. They don't always check.
But they don't shoot. That's what they do. They usually just go stand next to it instead of just firing the rest that's in the gun. Scream.
Okay.
Yeah, Scream is like very famous. Michael Myers movies, all of them. But this movie, man, when she gets tossed in, you're like, oh my God. I'm like, kill count's at 2 already? And this is less than 10 minutes into the movie. And I do love that lady, the Frau lady.
Oh,
when you hear her yelling wahoo. Like you hear like the screaming of her wahoo.
And she's running on top of the mountain. Like she's just running in circles almost. Yeah.
Amazing.
So I have a question about Frankenstein. And, I'm not sure if you're the monster. We're going to say Frankenstein because that's what we all know. Okay. So, so is he like a zombie that he's alive? Because I mean, like some of the things he does.
Question.
I mean, like, I'm just curious, like, obviously he didn't die from the well. So, like, can he die? And why does he need to eat? So those are my questions. Because
eating and drinking is something I never thought about when it comes to Frankenstein. I don't remember eating and drinking scenes in any iteration, but that was pretty funny when he was just like, oh, hungry.
The
Bread,
problem
good.
is I kept thinking of I'm waiting for him to light his thumb on fire, in that scene, because it was such a throwback to Young Frankenstein that, like it made it so. But I mean, I'm curious, he's a monster, he's not alive. So yeah.
So I mean, I guess I think of him as a reanimated corpse made through, various body parts and a brain and brought to life with electricity. I'm working through this right now.
Yes.
And I guess then I picture that though he's been created from all of these different bodies and stuff, he's still kind of functioning at this point like a real human would. Like the electricity, made the brain work and the heart work and all the things. And
yeah, he's learning, right? Zombies never learn. They're usually at that drooling point. Zombies are the same thing.
Zombies
never
evolve. People, don't
They do. Yeah, but I don't know if zombies will die again if they don't eat. I just think they enjoy the eating. I don't know if they need to eat. So I was curious if Frankenstein needs to eat.
Mm-hmm.
He also gets tucked in. With a blanket. I think in his movie he acts like a young child, which I guess it would make sense. I guess
he's kind of discovering the world for the first time. I think he's supposed to have a mental age. I think his age is supposed to be between 10 and 15, something like that.
Where most kids smoke cigars and drink.
Oh my god!
If they're handed it.
Yeah. You gotta.
I mean, that whole scene with the hermit in the woods, though, I think is just beautiful.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that they could just live there happy forever.
If only the hunters didn't get lost and knock on the wrong door that day. But it seems like in this time, no matter what time of night, even right now, I live in a little tight-knit community. Somebody knocks on my door at 2 a.m. I don't know, I'd be a little nervous. Here, they're in the middle of nowhere and somebody's knocking, whether it's Frau answering the door at the castle. Hey, let me go to it. Or this guy, he walks outside. At first, I didn't remember he was blind. So when he goes out, which we'll get more into that when we get to that part, but when he goes out there and just stands there, I'm like, oh my God, somebody could be right there.
But they don't have internet yet. They don't know how dangerous the world can be.
Yeah, I know.
And not to mention, he did say he hasn't seen anyone for well, he hasn't seen anyone, but he hasn't come across anyone in years. Yet, in a matter of 5 minutes, the monster and 2 other people.
Most popular place.
In 5 minutes, he had people around him all the time. So
that's amazing. So, Dr. Frankenstein, he's alive. He wakes up right in time. And now this is where Dr. Pretorius, right? He shows up pretty quick right afterwards. Now, you said that is a character in the original movie? Just a
Pretorius is not in the original.
Nothing.
He's new to the second film.
What a great character, though.
I love him.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
That actor is named Ernest Thesiger. He was also either gay or bisexual openly at the time. And I love this fun fact that I learned recently, which was he was a big advocate for men to be able to wear shorts in public and for that type of casual wear to be more accepted. So he's really fighting for everyone's right.
It's funny. He kind of played that role. He said he was openly gay. He kind of played a flamboyant way of that doctor. It was very but he was I thought he was great. I mean, I got questions about his thing, but that's later on.
I think he's
oh my
so
God,
funny.
dude, that was cool.
I love everything. How he's like, oh, would you like some whiskey? It's my only vice. Would you like a cigar? That's my only vice.
Yeah.
No.
And so I guess I'll say 2 things. One is one of my next videos on my channel is how I think Bride of Frankenstein is perhaps the queerest film of the 1930s. It's, queer directed, queer performed. It's got all of this kind of queer subtext to it. And James Whale did tell Ernest Thesiger to play it very sassy and flamboyant, kind of like this aging gay character.
Oh, that's awesome. Because he played it that way. And that's
Absolutely.
I'm thinking, I didn't know if he was gay, but I'm like, guy plays it so well, the way he does it. And just the villain wise, he was so calm, cool, and collected throughout the whole way. You know, so
you kind of
Totally.
liked him, which is rare for
you
a
did.
villain,
I
because you
love
kind of like
him.
the guy, and even like when he's like showing off his little inventions. You're like,
was he the
"What?"
student to Dr. Frankenstein, or was Dr. Frankenstein a student to him? Because
I think
he's a lot older than Frankenstein, but I thought he said that he was the student to
I don't
Frankenstein.
think he was Frankenstein's student. Maybe I missed
They had some kind of connection.
something.
Maybe they had a professor in common, but
Yeah.
he knew him
But
enough
they're
that he
both-
walked in and he knew him, and almost like Frankenstein had this look of almost like, oh my God, this guy. Like, it's not like he was welcomed, because he just
Yeah.
obviously woke up from being dead. And this guy right away is going into like, hey, that thing just killed you. That's what I'm here about.
Mhm. Yeah, and they're
Wow.
both trying to, create life in these unconventional ways, or these ways that go against nature.
Yeah.
Which, and again, I know we're not even there yet, but the fact that he feels he needs Dr. Frankenstein when he created things that are way better than Frankenstein the monster. I mean,
Yeah.
like, does he really need Frankenstein's help? I mean, he created such a different. He created life. I mean, he really created life. So
Yeah. But I think his problem is his life is like only this big. He can only make these little things in jars. He wants to make,
You know what? That special effects, I thought that was fantastic.
I
the way
love
they did that. Yeah.
I wonder if that inspired, like, I think in the Twilight Zone, when the toys are in the bin and they come alive. That's what they kind of remind me of, like having the king, the queen, like you have all these different characters.
Yeah.
And the fact that the king can just get out. And then he's like, oh, you again. It's like, dude, you can control this. You can do something to the top. Obviously, I guess they have to breathe. So there has to be some kind of loose fitting, right? Because they're fully alive.
Yeah, crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. But one thing that's cool in this movie too, just thinking about the times and how, even though it's 89 years ago this movie came out, it is like wild to think about the horse and buggy, like not thinking of cars as the thing. They're getting dropped off in that at his lab. And then when they're inside the lab, I'm like, he gives them the whiskey, right? In a glass. He gives it to him in a beaker. I'm like, and like a few feet away, the next table over is experiments. So I'm like, okay, is this beaker 100% like clean? You don't trust this guy. This guy showed up right after the time of him showing up and being alerted the news through the grapevine, like, hey, this guy actually created this monster, ripped up the town. And then this guy's like, oh, cool, I'm going to come in there and pick his brain now.
Well, I like the horse and buggy part of it because I feel like it makes it feel like it's so in the middle of nowhere. Like it's so like, and that's what it feels like. And yeah, I mean, there seems to be some hesitation with Frankenstein with the other guy, and I wish we knew a little bit more about that. Why he doesn't trust him, because he doesn't seem like he trusts him right away.
Yeah, that's true. There's also just to the horse and buggy instance, there's also a little bit of an ambiguous nature of like what year all of this is really happening in.
Yeah,
like it's not necessarily present day. It's not necessarily they never really anchor it to a time.
True.
Because it could be the time of when it was written, right? Like the early 1800s.
Could be.
Because you don't see anything that you're thinking futuristic. They're lighting lamps. There's no right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any electricity?
There's electricity?
Oh, I guess there is in the lab, right? There's electricity
lab.
in the scene.
Wait, is there electricity?
Designed by
electricity is from a lightning bolt. That's not. I'm saying in the lab. I forgot if it was all candles or if they actually had.
He's pulling switches left and right.
I
think that was to trigger the lightning bolt that's coming in.
I think that they know how to harness some of that electrical power. I think the castle is lit with like lanterns and candles and, those lamps that you do this to. But all the lab equipment was designed by a guy named Kenneth Strickfaden. And so like it's become sort of our cliche lab setup today, but that came from like his brain, which I just think is very cool.
And I thought it was amazing. I mean, the look of that lab, looks for 1935, that lab looked incredible. Like that's crazy.
And there's a lot of, German expressionist like influence in particularly Bride of Frankenstein, that there's a lot of like the light and shadow and really exaggerated rooms and scenes, things that almost feel it's like right on the verge of absurd or unreal. It's like almost too much, but that I think just continues to give the movie that like fantastical feel.
Sure.
Yeah. It is cool. I talked to production designer Mick Strawn. He worked on like Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4. I forgot what movie he was working on, but he went into like the where you rent like the background stuff. And in it was like stuff from Frankenstein. And he was like,
that's cool.
wait, I can just rent this? And he was able to like, I forgot what he used in a particular scene. So like for the rest of his career, when he was like when he was in charge of that, he was like, oh, I'm going to pick stuff from my favorite movies and put it in the background. But I'm like,
yeah,
that's really, really wild. But so this is where we're at. The people in the jars, like this is when they're drinking a little bit. And this is where we see the king. And again, for this time, it is amazing. Like I mentioned Twilight Zone because that's what it reminds me of. I would say it rivals Twilight Zone. Like the special effects, the way they impose them onto the jars, it's wild. Even though we know how they do it and you can kind of see the way their lighting is different, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
No, they look like they're in there. They look like they're trap bugs, like as if you had trapped the bug trying to get out. That's what they look like. And I mean, for that time, I mean, crazy. Yeah.
Were those any people? Were those any
Not that I know
bigger
of.
actors?
My greatest disappointment is that the ballerina isn't my Aunt Carla. I think every time I watch, I'm like, maybe this time it'll be her.
Yeah.
But because she was a ballerina, she did appear in some of these films. I don't know. Maybe she was busy that day.
Yeah. Was Aunt Carla married to your uncle, like that uncle, or
no?
was it different?
So she was my great grandfather's sister. So just Uncle Carl's niece. But she grew up, so she was born in Chicago. When she was like 7 or 8, I think her dad wasn't in great health. So Carl wrote a letter like, hey, why don't you guys come move out to Universal? You can live on the back lot. I've got a bungalow for you, whatever. Wow. So they moved out. And that's literally where she grew up. She would wake up in the morning, like hearing the lions roar in the Universal Zoo. And she'd just like meander around the park. And that's where her friends were.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Or not the park, but the back lot.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she grew up like living at Universal, which just feels like the greatest dream.
Oh my God. I talked to people that worked on the lot, like when they were coming up, and just hearing the stories, even just giving those backlot tours and seeing some of those movies being filmed, like oh my God, so
totally.
Cool. So how do you think the doctor was doing these experiments? How is he growing the people? He really go in depth about the process or anything.
He did say it. It was something like seeds and something.
Oh, I did
else.
write that. So that was
then
right.
Because
okay.
I remember that the mermaid, he said, was like an experiment with seaweed is like how he got the mermaid. He kind of gets into it, but I think if you're too scientifically specific, like I don't know if that would I don't know how you make that make sense.
See, I know.
I'm
sorry that they didn't make a movie on him, and like those kind. I mean, for those kind of experiments and a movie like that, I think that's a movie that I would want to hear about. You know, that's
as
cool.
We're recording this, they're coming out. It's so funny. Like Jamie just said, "Hey, let's do this," and I see a trailer for The Bride.
Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride.
Yeah,
which is insane. The people that are in
very different though.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's kind of like a Harley Quinn Joker bride.
It's set in Brooklyn, right? I think it's set in 30s Brooklyn.
It's like mobster bride.
Yeah, that's. I was saying it looks like I was telling Doug the other day with the trailer. I said it looks like a mafia movie. If you didn't see it and just listened, because they all have even the bride has a mobster Italian accent. You would think it's a mafia movie. So it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll say I know a lot of people are anti-sequel or remakes or reimaginings. I know people can get very, traditionalist about those things. But I'm all for them. I always think even if a movie is bad or wrong or totally different, it's still an opportunity for people to say, well, what else is out there? What other Bride movies exist, or where did this come from? So I don't think if it's too bad, everyone will forget it in a few years, Yeah.
And it's not going to replace the original, So no matter what they do, I mean, and if anything, it's such a high bar that they're going to have to reach. So if they want to have the guts to make a movie like that, they, then they have to understand that, if it's bad, like you said, no one's going to remember it because the other one, everybody remembers.
Totally.
So, yeah.
And, this one, you're not going to draw a one-to-one comparison. You're not going to say, oh, this scene is that scene, So
Yeah.
It's just its own movie.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if they sprinkle things in. But no, I agree. Like, even like the Burbs that's coming out, like the TV series with Keke Palmer. It's like, oh my God, they're turning the Burbs. I think like, wow, people are going to watch that and maybe be like, oh, wait, this is from another. Oh, let me watch the Joe Dante film. And then they fall in love with that movie because I feel like that movie, as great as it is, I never hear it mentioned as much. It is such a cool movie because you're like, I love things when you're dropped into this cul-de-sac, like whatever the street is in Desperate Housewives, it's the same street.
Wisteria Lane.
Yeah, so like it's so cool. Like you're watching this movie and you're like, all right, I'm gonna drop into this world for a little bit. No, hopefully this movie gets people to go back watch this one and all the other Universal monster movies. And so this is where the point that I wrote, the monster needs to drink. Because this is the first time. So this is where the monster is like drinking the water. And this is where he
sees his reflection.
Yes. And he appears. And then that's when Frau and all the townspeople are like, ah. And then that's when he runs. Like he hits a few of them. He doesn't kill anybody right here. I don't think another kill comes just yet.
Yeah. For the most part, he's just scared. Like he's not actually.
He is, yeah.
A monster. He's not evil. He's not out to get everybody. He's just terrified because everybody's coming after him and he doesn't even know why he's here.
I as I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking like he's like Lenny from Mice and Men.
Oh yeah.
He's like a gentle
doesn't know
giant.
His strength, like
he's a gentle giant, and
10
he
to
doesn't
15 years old, like Antonia said. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. Like he's just trying to defend himself. Just the fact that his strength is very strong, so he could really damage someone. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love the fact that they think that the chains that they put on him are going to hold him.
Oh my God, this is the best.
I thought I know you mentioned before how like they cut out a lot of the religious overtones or undertones because there was definitely a lot of God talk in the movie, and then they put him on like almost like crucified him the way they were carrying him, like
Absolutely.
So I wonder if that was also in there.
That was the smartest way. I wrote that. Why don't they move people like that in horror movies when they're knocked out or dead? Like like a Jason, or I know they did it in the last Halloween movie, but that was I didn't really like that. But in this movie, it was cool the way they propped him up, dropped him onto the hay. He's on the back of the truck. They drag him in. But yeah, it is wild that they see this creature they already saw survive a fire, survive a building, survive everything they threw at him. They're like, you know what? Let's put him in this room that has a very odd, like, was that so people can mock the inmate and then people would never want to go back to jail? Because it had like a way that you could try to crawl out, but I guess it was impossible. And then the guy's like, hey, so what are you going to do after this? He's like, I don't know. And that's it. I'm still here, guys.
Okay.
I think my wife, all right, cool. But like, yeah, so like the way the guys are like looking in at him and then going, yeah, I think I'm going to take off. And it's like, what? This thing, you spent all this energy, you're just going to leave?
Like, what were they like? Why didn't they try to kill him there instead of like leaving him? Like, what was their goal? I mean, like, was there someone that wanted to keep him alive? Because if that was me, I'm triple, like, it's like doing a single knot on your sneaker, right? Like, they should have done like triple knots of the chain because it looked like they were using the same chain they would have used on anyone else that they were trying to tie up.
I guess I just wonder like how maybe they just had to get the supplies at some point. Like, how would they have killed him, or like were they prepared to?
Well, I said this
I
said this about Jason all the time. They've tried killing Jason in every Friday the 13th. The one thing they've never done is chop his head off. Mm-hmm. So, to kill him, the only way to kill this monster, it seems, is chop his head off. Like, but that's something they never do in any of these horror movies.
Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't have a movie.
That's true.
Yeah,
that is
we
true.
even have a sequel.
End.
It's like the dog catching the car. It's like dog barks at the car, tries to chase it. What if that what if the car stops? Like, what's the dog really going to do? Same thing with this. They're like, oh my God, we got this monster. Even though they had him tied up really good, obviously he didn't break out when he was on the log. They could have maybe chopped the log and kept him on that. And now they're like, we're going to transport him into handcuffs. And then it lasts for like, again, the comical part about this movie, which I think is so fascinating because there's obviously like a lot of emotion you feel, like he just wants to have companionship the whole movie. But then you have like comedy, the fact that we saw this big build up to all of the stuff they did, and it lasts 5 seconds. He is out of there in 5 seconds. As soon as the guy with the curly mustache shouts up and says, hey, why are you people looking out here? And then they scram. So no eyes are on Frankenstein. They should have had those people.
Had a guard
been
or
the ones
something.
that shouted, right?
Yeah.
Someone should have been supervising.
Easily. And he snapped that chain like it was nothing. Like it wasn't even like, I mean.
Although to be fair, and we see this in the first film, he also would have just snapped whoever was watching him. In the first one, he hangs Fritz when Fritz absolutely tormented him with fire and was like a terrible guy, but he hangs him.
So I guess no one really wants that job of watching him.
Exactly.
Okay. That's the other guy's like, hey, I got a hot date. I got to get out of here. But so obviously the fire element, so he's out of there. And then there's a family, which you're like, oh my God. They weren't camping, obviously. That's probably where they lived because that's the times that this is kind of like portraying. But they're sitting there and they're kind of telling like a ghost story around the fire. And the fact that the guy sees this giant figure, probably knows about the maybe not, right? Because this is right after, like, people learned about him like 2 days before, right? In the timeline of this movie, like within 48 hours, that's what happened. There's no news, there's no internet, so they probably really don't know that he's on the loose. They just know he's in jail.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a comedic moment of like telling a scary story and now the scary monster shows up behind you. Yeah. And I do think, I can't remember what scene was cut, but something was cut and I think that was put in its place on his way to the cabin.
Yeah, he's like eating he's fighting this giant monster over a chicken. He's like, yeah, give him back my chicken. And you're like, dude, you're done now, man. But then we get to like the sweetest scene of the movie. And I think one of the I don't know, man. This is like, my wife's an English teacher. She was watching it with me and it was like, wow, she's like, and she loves Frankenstein and Mary Shelley. And she was like, oh my God, this is such a beautiful scene. When he hears the violin and he like stops in his tracks and just that whole thing between him and the blind man is just beautiful. And you get it again, like a lot of things in this movie, it's just not enough, but it's like in the end of the movie, it's a perfect length of a movie. It could have obviously had scenes added, but it's such a beautiful film. And in this scene, you're just like, oh, I just want them to hang out more. And he's teaching.
The blind man was so happy. Like he was just so happy.
They could have been so happy together forever. Like two, misunderstood, lonely outsiders coming together. There's, of course, kind of the queer interpretation of this scene and sort of in isolation, living in this domestic bliss until the hunters representing society, right, come and ruin it and the whole house burns down.
I'm very surprised at how he's able to survive. I mean, he's blind. I mean, and he's eating. He's got like fire everywhere. I'm like, the fact that he's able to do all this is pretty amazing for this guy.
But I think that they, I guess not explain it, but they show that so well. How when he's walking, he'll hold on to the beam overhead and he'll reach for stuff. I don't know, it felt kind of progressive to me for the time to be so aware of how somebody's like different abilities might change the way they move through their house.
And not making them look like they're like a victim and they are helpless. You actually saw somebody that, okay, this guy's in the middle of the woods surviving, doing all this. But one of the coolest things about the scene, because you think like, oh, when's the shoe gonna drop, right? And like when he goes, oh, my friend, and he feels his arms, and you're thinking like, wow, those are some gnarly looking cuts all over his arms. And he just, oh, you're badly wounded. Instead of thinking the worst, he thinks like, how can I help you? And it's like, oh my God, what a beautiful scene.
Oh, him tucking him in. I mean, was like, to me, it was like
the monster cries just that one single tear.
I never knew that was gonna happen. The fact that, like, again, they made, like, that's why this is like a drama. This movie, it's like it's like a sad movie. This poor monster. The only thing I don't like is the talking part. Like,
he's learning.
No. The fact that he understands everything by the end of the movie. So he just learns how to talk now, and then it's not even a day, and he understands every single that's so like they made it a little too much, but I do like that he's teaching him, but he learned very fast.
Yeah. Smart guy.
He is a smart guy.
Wood, he's like, fire, no good, and fire is good.
Yeah.
And I love Dr. Pretorius later in the movie. Kind of takes credit, like, oh yeah, I taught him all these things. It's like, no, dude, you had him for maybe a few hours. It was this blind hermit in the woods that was the one that taught him all of this stuff. But when they're like smoking, to me, like, obviously they might have been.
I think it was.
I thought it was marijuana, right?
It was. I think it was.
They were so poorly rolled, and you're like, okay, wait.
Do that? They're poorly rolled. The guy's blind. I mean, of course it's poorly rolled. I mean, you think it to be perfect?
But it looked good. And he was just so into it. Just a monster, though. I need to get that on a shirt or something. Just when he's like hitting it and he's like giving him the violin and he's playing it and he's really enjoying it. You're like, wow,
he's enjoying the drink. Like he's never had any. He's been drinking dirty pond water. Like that's what he's been eating. And now he's got, whiskey and weed. And like, I mean, he's enjoying life. Like this is real life for him.
Yeah, which honestly I think plays in so well to the end that he gets to experience this brief time of connection, of fun, of like growth, of learning. But then I think, that's destroyed. Of course, the end of the movie, we've got a whole different type of destruction, but he's seen now this thing that will be unattainable to him for the rest of his life,
Well, I think part of it also is I think he also feels that anyone he gets close to almost dies, right? I mean, the fire in the cabin with this poor guy, and then even though he made like a lot of people that die around him not on purpose, but because of him, and I think he is smart for a monster, and so he realizes that even later on. I mean, I thought that to me that was the saddest thing. The last scene. When he realizes she thinks he's ugly or something like that, or she hates
me.
She hates me. Oh my gosh, that was rough.
Yeah, that was rough. And then just like everything's perfect, the music's playing, everything, like the tone of everything's very calm, and you're like, oh man, this is great. Then the hunters come in, and it is just like
chaos.
You just feel so bad. And what's even worse is that he can't spend time with his friend anymore, a relationship that he really enjoyed, and that he ruined the guy's home. And he probably realized that, obviously, like when he left, because when the fire's all around him, he obviously has to escape to survive, but you can almost like think, they don't mention it because he's not having like, you don't hear inner dialogue or him having like normal conversations about what was happening prior with Dr. Pretorius, but it's like, that's gotta like weigh on him into like the decision in the end, like, things are great, but there's a lot of chaos that can come from me.
Yeah. Like
real.
Sorry, I'm like, like real self-awareness that I think is he's literally just like growing awareness to begin with, and the awareness that everything about you is, I don't know, unlovable or terrible or scary.
I think that's each scene. I think each scene, his awareness gets higher and higher. And it's like, I think not only learning obviously from the blind man, but I think he's learning through himself. Each situation is, he's becoming more aware of what he is, unfortunately, and that he's never going to have that normal life.
Yeah. And then it just so works out. He wants to go to the cemetery. That's his next spot. He goes to the cemetery in the basement when they just have all the bodies. And then Dr. Pretorius just happens to be there. So that's what
isn't he drinking or something? He's just hanging out.
He's hanging out, right?
Yeah. What a creeper.
I mean, that's got all the like candles and stuff all around him, the bottle of wine or whiskey or whatever.
But I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
He seems like a guy that would hang out
there. He gives
there.
him the cigar. Yep. He gives him the whiskey at this point.
He also doesn't seem that surprised that the monster's speaking. Like he says, he said something like, "Oh, you speak now," or something like that. Like he wasn't like, to me, like that would be like amazing. Like now it's like, he didn't seem that surprised.
I think it's that just like gay sensibility, honestly.
Yeah.
And the doctor tells him, I want to make a woman for you. And you see him like really happy. And then one of the lines he says, and the way he talks, obviously like a caveman, because his brain is just learning all this, is I love dead, hate living.
Which one of my favorite lines. I also love like when he says, "I want to make a friend for you or a woman for you." He starts by saying like friend, and then he's like, "No, a companion," and leads him to this other place of what this woman is supposed to be for him. But I find that interesting.
Which
And
is
yeah,
something
love
he's
dead,
probably
hate
not
living.
seen, right?
I was going
Obviously,
to say,
Dr.
how does he
Frankenstein
know?
spoke of race. Like, he knows Dr. Frankenstein had someone, so he knows what it is, but he probably doesn't really put a finger on it because he didn't experience that.
He doesn't
Right.
understand it.
Not like here's
Yeah.
how it applies to me.
Right.
Yeah. So Dr. Pretorius now he wants to be like, oh, I got your guy, so now you're gonna come help me. And I love that it's almost like a reveal of like what's behind door number 1, because he talks about like, oh, I met somebody that's really gonna convince you to do this, and then opens the door and it's like, oh my, and then you see him, no, get out of here, leave.
Well, somehow Frankenstein now becomes like like the fact that he knows where the Dr. Frankenstein's wife is, where he's able, like he's almost like he's now understands so much in so little of time. So
I guess you're
it's
right
crazy.
that like a lot of information is just downloaded.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact that he was able to go get I think the villain goes, go get the Frankenstein's wife or something like that, and he knows exactly where to go. Like he just walks out and like so things like that.
Well, remember they're not driving; they're using horse and buggy, so mile per hour on that isn't that much. No. So they had a lot of time to research the.
He has a very good sense of direction.
Break it down.
I mean, he's been there before. Like in the first film, he was there.
That is true.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe he knows.
But man, when he takes her and then brings her to the cave and the giant fire in there, it's just the sets throughout the movie, but at the end of the movie, like she's so isolated by herself with him. And the fact that we get like a phone in this movie.
That
was really wild because it was almost
that's our
like
glimpse into like the era that
there was
we're
there was obviously, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. But the fact that there's like a wire and it's like a long wire, like when they're in the cave and you're like, how is this being ran? Is this a cave near the house and able to run the wire? Because it was just really cool to see that, like, I want to hear her. I want to make sure she's alive before he, like, I guess, does his thing. Like, it's his turn of the knob, pull on the, to be able to help Dr. Pretorius make this woman. Again, he's done this before, but he saw what the negatives can come of it. So he didn't want to do it, but now he's forced to.
And and this is where they have to go get a body, which this scene, I'm very surprised that they did this. Like, I mean, it killed her. Like, I mean, he didn't go kill, like, and like, again, the violence, like, knowing what's about to happen, and the way or I was going to say Igor, but the way he does it, like, I was surprised.
Yeah. And what's he won for it? 1,000 crowns.
And I think that was one of the cut scenes then was that the uncle character between the two Diggers was going to kill the nephew over money or something. And that ended up getting cut.
Oh, so
but that was going to be an additional death on top of all the deaths.
Well, he knew the body was warm. He goes, where'd you get this body? Or something like that. Or
1,000 crowns. One cool line was, again, it could have been, if it was when they intended to write the movie, we're going to set it in 1935 or in 1835. But it's cool to think of, even in 1935, it's kind of like relevant term. He goes, think of a time that we'd be burned at a stake for these ideas not too long ago. And it's like, that's crazy to think 1935. That is something that's in your head.
Burned at the stake?
Yeah.
Because that would be Salem witch trials,
yeah,
right?
the witches.
Was that the latest of it? Was that like what? What year was that? 1600s?
I was going to say 16 or 17.
I was going to say 18. So like, I don't know. I'm not on my witches.
Let's see who wins. Salem witch trials. But even so, it's like still crazy to think about. Like when you're watching some of these movies, even from like around this time or even a little bit, they talk about these references. Like it's really not that long ago. Like they talk about the Civil War. It's like, oh yeah, you knew someone in the Civil War. Like that was probably a thing. Salem witch trials year 1692, 1693.
You win.
So I guess it was way back. But yeah, just to hear that line, I'm like, oh, that's really
burned at the
cool
stake.
to hear like, wow, that's pretty cool.
That's like there's so many, and I couldn't tell you a single one right now, but just so many things that we say today that come from Shakespeare that are now just, our normal
Yeah.
But I'm not going to have an example, so just cut this out.
Add something and add a line of Shakespeare. But no, I know. It's even like so many phrases that we say today that our kids don't understand. Like my daughter doesn't. When I said like pick up the phone, it's like that's just something we say, but you don't really do that.
So like we do this for phone, they do this for phone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Isn't that crazy?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you ever see those videos when they're trying to use a phone, like a dial phone? And
Oh yeah, my
they're
wife
looking
has
at
a rotary phone at school.
Yeah.
She has the kids try to use it.
It's
Oh,
amazing.
wow.
It's yeah.
Very cool. I'm not that old, but
Yeah, or
my
like, they
buddy
don't
had
have
one. I used to
CD and DVD
love
players.
calling. Oh, I
see,
know.
forget-
Yeah. Record
Oh.
players. Oh my god. But yeah, no.
What's a record?
But yes, what's a record? Yeah. But what is cool when he utters the line "she's alive" and it has like when he talks to her on the phone, and it's like this very low energy of it, like him like saying it, and then later when he utters it, it's like the same line, just like with passion
Mm-hmm.
for the bride when she comes alive.
Yeah, of course, which also appears in the first film of the "It's alive, it's alive."
Yeah.
Well, that's why when he says it again, he seems just as excited as when he said it the first time, but he's already done it before. So why he shouldn't be shocked that she's alive again, like that excited.
Yeah, but now it proves it wasn't a fluke. Now, like, he's really
Yeah.
a genius.
So the first one is almost like a fluke. Is that what the feeling was?
Well, the first one was an experiment that panned out, but as much as
Okay.
you hope that your experiment is going to work or your plan makes sense, like, you don't know until he's
You
up
do it
and
again.
running.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so then we get the big storm coming in. They hey, set up the kites. Like just seeing like the bed that she lays in that comes down that's going to put her up top. Even just the way that's dropping from the ceiling and the way you're looking at the high shot, like watching it come in, it is just like beautifully done. So if that guy was an alcoholic setting up these shots, and
Oh, I
talking with
I
James
wrote that
Whale,
down. Yeah.
it was so cool to see like it dropping in and the way everything looked and just the way the scene comes together.
Well, and the fact that they'll shoot some things like sideways, and the light will be like the light and the shadows, and how
The
it's
angles
almost like
of
they'll have these crazy circles under their eyes, or shadows across their face, just like absolutely nuts, like beautiful, intense, crazy. It does make it feel so modern in some ways, like not that somebody was coming up with this wasted in 1935.
Yeah.
Well, it makes me also appreciate what Mel Brooks did, because it looks like when you watch Young Frankenstein, the laboratory looks exactly like this laboratory.
Yeah.
The same elevator of moving up, the same thing. I'm like, it really looks the same, and I think it's his homage to the movie that he wanted.
And he probably got the props. You think when that movie is made, it's less than 40 years after this is made. So I'm sure that they were able to grab everything. So
Sure.
Yeah. So this is like the pretty much like the climax of the movie. You get all of the lightnings coming down, and at the same time, the monster's back at the house. And when she gets brought up, he is like so horrified by seeing her go through what he went through, even though maybe he has a memory of what happened or something. Dude, when he tosses the guy off the castle, that was wild.
Well, I think he got scared because of the lightning. With fire, lightning, electricity, and I think so that also got him all scared. Because that's
And the guy had a torch. The one thing he doesn't like. And then he took the torch and hit the guy who he I don't know if that was in the script, but he hits the guy pretty hard when he's laying on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, fire has only brought him torment and destruction in the past. From, like I said, Fritz in the first film torments him with it and like teases him with it. With the hermit, like that burns down and he runs away, right? He only knows fire to be bad, other than smoking, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's good for smoking, to light your cigar or marijuana, it's fine. But like if it's in a big fire, then that's where it doesn't work out. But yeah, so now we see the reveal. Like she comes down, it works, she's alive, and then we see her eyes, like just her piercing eyes. And then the reveal of her hair. It's so crazy to think about, like 89 years ago. I looked up the hairstylist as I talked to this guy, Rob Berman, whose family goes way back. His uncle worked on like one of the Wolfman sequels, but that was like his first foray into it. But just thinking about something that was done, oh, let's put this lightning bolt in her hair to show like, oh, that's how she was created. She has a lightning bolt. Makes sense. And just something that is forever everywhere. And for like we talked about when we first started at the top, this is like 4 minutes in the movie and it's so well known.
Oh, absolutely. It's so iconic. The makeup artist for this movie was Jack Pierce. He conceptualized the hair and makeup. He worked on almost all of the Universal monster movies. He didn't have a heavy hand in Dracula because Bela Lugosi was pretty territorial about, doing his own stuff. But from the 20s through like the 40s, 50s, Jack Pierce conceptualized almost all of the looks for all of the monsters. So I know that for the hair, he was really inspired by Nefertiti. If you look at, she's got like the same silhouette. I imagine that the streak through her hair is an homage to the lightning that brought her to life. And I know Elsa Lanchester talked about working with Jack Pierce and how just meticulous and methodical he was with his work. He would wear like a lab coat when he worked and he was very serious. She said he seemed like he was a surgeon, checking in for surgery versus a makeup artist. But he's the reason that almost all of our monsters look the way that they look.
And that's amazing because imagine 1935, he's doing this and he's, he would never think that, 100 years later that people are going to still remember that one thing that he created, a hairstyle that everybody knows. You don't even have to see the face. You see that hair, the lightning streak, you know exactly what it is. And for that to be that iconic, just from like a little moment of him creating is amazing, and I can't believe the actress who plays the bride, she was in, I don't know if you've ever seen Murder by Death.
Yeah.
She plays the woman that pushes the wheelchair. She's in there, and she's in Mary Poppins.
Yeah, she's plays Nana.
Nana, which I can't believe
That's
it. Like,
wild.
because you would never know. Like, I never knew anything about the bride, and then I'm like, all right, who plays her? And I'm like, wow, she was in a lot of things. I never knew her.
Yeah, she was also, she had such a wild life herself. She grew up in this sort of bohemian lifestyle in England. I think her parents got arrested at some point because they refused to get married and, were living in sin. At one point, she had a job where, because divorce was like illegal unless you had a legitimate reason. So her job was to be somebody who would pretend to like hook up with husbands so that like wives could divorce. So she was always very,
Doug's like, how do I sign up for that?
Yeah. And then,
right.
And then she also, oh goodness, what was I just about to say? Oh, she was married to Charles Laughton, who was a very famous actor back in the day, who also was gay, and she knew that for most of their relationship, but they still stayed together sort of as colleagues
A lot of actors
or
did that
roommates
back then.
or, art partners,
Yeah.
even after he came out to her.
It's amazing. I mean, she made the it's a monster. She made the monster like beautiful.
Yes.
For a monster, you look at Frankenstein, he's kind of ugly. He's an ugly dude. But she just the way her posing and her face, it really where she should be ugly and because she's a monster, there was a mystique about her.
She's this incredible blend of scary and glamorous, right? She's got the stitches. The hair is absolutely unconventional, but her lips are also perfectly done, and she's got those sharp 1930s eyebrows. But I think that that's part of what makes her so. She's not just repelling you or whatever. She really is kind of drawing you in, and you want to look at her more.
But it also makes sense why she turned away the monster, because she knows she could do better. So that's why when she looks like that.
I think it's an absolutely feminist act for her to reject the monster, which again feels very progressive for the year. She was created to be a wife or to be a supporter of this man and rejects the role. She says, absolutely not.
But it's amazing. Imagine being the monster at this point. Now, this other monster just woke up. Really, the only three people she's ever seen are the three that are in that room, and she's repulsed by him. How bad? Because she doesn't know what ugly is. How bad you got to feel that this is the first thing she sees, and she you would think like she'd be just amazed that she could see anything.
Well,
Yet she's repulsed by him.
Yeah, but if somebody came over and like held my hand and started creeping up the second I met them,
Yeah.
like I don't need to know the world to know that's icky.
That is true.
Right. But yeah, what she does in 4 minutes is pretty insane. Just like thinking about an impact made in a movie. I'm sure there's others throughout the history but I don't know if anybody's less than 4 minutes or less than 5 minutes.
And I really feel like no actress would have done it the same. How you're saying she modeled the hiss and those sharp movements after the swan. Like, who else would have come up with that?
Yeah.
How would you think about that? It's like, oh yeah, you're going to be you're a monster. You're coming to life. What is your first move? And it's like, that's what she thought about.
I'm going to focus on
how like horrific they were in the parts.
Yeah. But it works so well. I mean, it like that original hiss before she and her screams alone. I mean, but the way she looks at him and like you could see like the repulsive, like the scaredness. How she's a monster, but she's so scared of him. Like she does an incredible job.
Yeah, but it all ends pretty quick because he's like, this is wrong, and he wants Frankenstein to leave with Elizabeth. So he even says Henry, right? I feel like he says
So Henry and Elizabeth get to go. I don't exactly understand why, but good for them. And Pretorius and the bride stay with him. So it's like, you go, we belong, dead.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. That line, and as quick as, he doesn't give them a lot of time to get out, but they get out just in time, like most movies. And just, even that looked good. And you're like, well, they're doing this in 1935 on some, was this all a backlot?
Yeah. For sure, the first two the Dracula and Frankenstein were stage 12. I think the Bride of Frankenstein was on the same soundstage, which is still on the Universal backlot today.
That's cool.
I know up until a few years ago, The Voice was filming in that soundstage. It was like one of their biggest. Wow. So yeah, I think it was that same soundstage. And they did a Halloween Horror Nights maze through that soundstage, not this year, but the year before. Which was classic monster theme, but it wasn't very good.
So
the bride had like a bow and arrow. It was like weird.
Oh my gosh.
So are the Universal Studios, like the theme parks, are they connected to your family?
So Uncle Carl did a version of the studio tour all the way back in 1915. That was like he was known for sort of his publicity and promotional skills. And so one of the early ways that he promoted his studio was by inviting people to come take a tour at Universal. You would get to watch movies get made because they were silent, so you could cheer on the good guys and boo the bad guys. You'd get a picnic. You could go see the Universal Zoo because that was at one time like the biggest zoo on this side of the Mississippi, I guess.
Wow.
And because Universal had been a functioning chicken ranch before it came Universal, for like an extra nickel, you could take a basket of eggs home at the end of your So that was the tour under Carl. Once sound film came in, then they did away with it. And then in the 60s is when they started, I think 1964 is when they started the tram tour, kind of a version of what we know today. And the first rides, I want to say, was somewhere in the 70s or 80s. Something, it was a little later.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think the 70s.
Now, have you gone to the new Universal now Epic Universe to see the Monster Ride?
Yeah. So I got, I guess I'll call it lucky last year. So Peacock released a documentary maybe a month ago called Epic Ride, the Universal Story or something like that, which I'm in. And so they interviewed me for it. And because I was in that, they invited me to the opening of of Epic Universe. So they filmed a little bit of me exploring it on the opening day. And I got to walk what they called the celestial carpet and get interviewed. And because I was even there kind of a day earlier for the media day, it was basically empty. I walked on Monsters Unchained like 5 times in a row. Like just.
And how, were you impressed by it? Like the monsters?
I loved. Yes, I thought have you been?
No. I was at Universal like 2 years ago, but I haven't been there yet because I'm waiting for the lines to die down a little bit.
Yeah.
And
So Darkmoor in the Dark Universe section was so cool. You really feel like you're dropped into like an old Frankenstein village or Dracula village. Monsters Unchained, I absolutely loved that ride. And I feel like it's one of those ones where you can keep riding it and find little Easter eggs and things that you missed. The Curse of the Werewolf roller coaster was really fun. I liked it. I heard that maybe there's more land behind that they might be able to expand into over time. So I just like would love for it to get bigger.
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Sure.
and they have a windmill that every now and again like actually lights on fire.
Oh,
Which is
wow,
really
that's
cool.
awesome.
So yeah, I
Where-
love
Yeah.
Darkmoor and just the whole epic universe. I really liked the concept, how you walk through these portals and I swear, like
Another world.
transported to different lands. I
Yeah.
hadn't even seen How to Train Your Dragon yet, but I'm now a How to Train Your Dragon fan because it was so beautiful.
Yeah, I'm dying to
Um,
go. So where can we watch that? What you said
It's on
on Peacock?
Peacock and it's called
Okay.
Epic Ride. And then there's a
Okay,
little
Cool.
addendum to the title that I don't remember. I think it's like
No, I'll put the link in the episode notes. That's pretty cool.
Amazing.
Epic Ride. I want to see that.
I thought the
That's
video
awesome.
was really fun, or the documentary was really fun. I'm in the first episode and then at the very end of the last episode. There's 3.
Cool.
Okay.
Sweet. I'll check it out. I
Yeah,
know
I'm
you
good.
have a hard stop because you have to
I do, unfortunately.
No,
Sorry.
that's fine.
Okay.
So no, it's fine. No, thanks so much for joining us. Yeah. So one question I want to ask: what is your like? Since you have the ties to the Universal movies, do you have like a personal favorite of the Universal monsters that you're like, okay, that's my guy or that's my film?
So I actually think Bride of Frankenstein might be my favorite
Wow.
film. So
Nice.
that's why I'm like jumped at the chance
Perfect.
to do this. And the Frankenstein monster is my favorite monster. I think because I really just feel for him so much, right? We've all been in that like wanting to connect with others, wanting to be loved, wanting to understand this crazy world around us. And so I just like love him for that. But I think all the movies are good. I love, my family didn't
Yeah.
make it, but I love Creature from the Black Lagoon also.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys watched
I just
that
watched
one?
that recently for the first time. I mean, I saw it as a kid, but I just watched it recently. Again, that even like that's a sad one too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like I think they all have that sadness to it, like in a way.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't seen them all, but
The Wolfman, Creature, Frankenstein and Bride, all sad. I would say Dracula and the Invisible Man, they're closer to villains.
well, he's the Invisible Man's arrogant, right? He's
Yeah.
arrogant, and
Well, it's
Dracula's a
Vincent
jerk.
Price.
It was
Not an original,
Claude
right?
Rains.
Oh, Claude Rains. But isn't
I
Vincent
think
Price
Vincent
it
Price
in one of
does the voice of the Invisible Man at the very end of Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
You're right. Yeah. And then in the next one where it's happening, Costello meet the Invisible Man, it's not him.
No,
Yeah.
It's not Vincent Price. That's what it was. Yeah. But he has like the perfect voice.
But the
for that,
original
yeah,
one
yeah.
is Claude Rains.
Claude
and
Rains. Okay.
The idea is he's made this serum that will make him invisible, but it also makes him, go crazy. And the kill count in that is higher than I think any other Universal monster.
really.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Is
I gotta
is there
rewatch a
scene-
lot of them. My daughter's getting into these movies, so I gotta start.
They
getting
hold
her-
up. I think they hold up.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't make
She
them
loves
like this.
Abbott and Costello, and she
Oh, I love-
sees the way the jokes are laid out
Yeah.
in that,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, they do that in SpongeBob, or they do that in other movies or TV shows that we watch. So
Yeah,
No,
Abbott and
it's,
Costello Meet Frankenstein is it's so many kids and now grown-ups, but once kids like first entrees into the monsters and sort of loving them when they're little. I think I just heard yesterday, I don't know if you guys remember Keenan and Kel from the 90s.
oh yeah,
course.
they're
Doing a
doing
Keenan and Kel
Frankenstein.
Meet
Wait,
Frankenstein.
Is that real? Because I thought it was an AI
Yeah.
thing. I thought that was an AI thing, but
Well, I think the
Oh,
image
no,
is
have
AI,
I
but I
been-
think it's
have I been
legit because
duped?
like Deadspin or
Did I
somebody
fall
was
for
the
AI?
reporter.
I literally got duped in the last 3. I heard a new Nightmare on Elm Street was coming out. Someone told me that was AI.
No,
so
this was I saw the Hollywood Reporter interview. Like I
Nick said
saw
it
the
to me.
article, so it's legit.
So-
I think the photo is just
Okay.
AI generated. But yeah. So I don't want you to be late. So Antonia, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
I'll put all your links in the episode notes. Universally Me is your channel. It's at Antonia Carlotta. So I'll put everything in there. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, this was great.
Awesome.
Cool.
So glad. So what was the name of it again? Because again, as Doug said, my memory's
Universally Me.
okay. Universally Me. I'm gonna
Yeah.
check it out.
I'll put in the episode notes so you can check it out too. But yeah, you can jump. You can jump whenever. We're just gonna close out the episode, and then I'll edit this and then it'll be out tomorrow, and I'll be sure to tag you.
Oh, wow.
and
It's already out
send you a
tomorrow?
link and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
kind of
they're
do it like
fast.
SNL. Like it's pretty quick afterwards. I'm an accountant, so it's like busy this time of year. So this is like a week overdue. So it actually worked out perfect because we were supposed to do this last week, and then I couldn't do it because I was just so busy. And it worked out that Jamie connected with you, and then you were able to join us. So
Well, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad this worked. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, and
Hey, no
listen, if you
problem.
ever want to come back, I mean, there's a lot of monster movies we can do. So,
Yeah, I
down
was
the
just
road.
thinking like we could do, Return of the Invisible Man Returns, Revenge of the Creature.
See?
Like there
Well,
are.
wasn't it? Yeah, there's if you're willing to come back, totally. Because it's funny. We have. I know you got to leave, but we do a lot of horror movies, and we have a resident horror guy, and we have a resident bad person. So if you want to be the resident, come on for these old
resident
monster
bad
movies.
person,
Yeah, you got
bad
it.
movie person, not a
Yeah.
bad person.
Yeah, he's a bad person. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So,
we don't know
but
yet.
thank you so much. It was
course.
a lot of fun.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. So that was Antonia. Well, that was great and perfect segue. Won't have to edit much of that, but yeah, that was so cool to have somebody that not only loves these movies, has the connection to that movie.
Has
so
the history.
Jamie,
So
the
has that
history
history.
of it.
So
So
yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say, and it was just random, that I came across her. I mean, I think she was great. She had enough knowledge of it. I'm curious if she does come back for another one. Because I really haven't seen any of the other ones. I've
seen the main
clips.
ones. I didn't see the sequels. Like I've seen Frankenstein. I've seen this. I didn't remember most of it,
So
but it'll be fun.
just curious. I never seen Son of Frankenstein, but is that a baby of Frankenstein and the Bride?
That'd be funny.
Is it? I don't know. It's a Son of Frankenstein.
If it's a baby Frankenstein, that could
Well,
be good.
It's called Son of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? I absolutely recommend watching this. There aren't too many. I've tried some old movies that were not monster, and like I had to throw them off. I just recently watched a noir that was 1945. It was actually pretty good. I'm like, it's amazing at some of these movies that can hold up, because I feel like today they don't make too many good movies. And I think, like watching these movies, I think they're ahead of their time. I mean, the special effects, for what this movie was fantastic. And it's such an iconic movie. And again, The Bride, 4 minutes, but what an impact she makes in those 4 minutes. It's so worth watching this movie.
Yeah. No, I loved it. I think it is a perfect movie, and I think it's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. And it's a crime that all those times we talked about, like, what are the greatest sequels of all time? This is on my Mount Rushmore now.
It is now.
So good.
It is now. I never thought about it, but it is now. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's for, again, 1935, and the
Yeah.
fact that they did, I mean, and like I said, it's the story of like, it's a different type, to me, it's a different take on Frankenstein, than the normal Frankensteins that you're thinking of. And also, one last thing, again, I'm going to go back to Young Frankenstein. It makes Young Frankenstein even better now, because I could see all the aspects that they took from this movie, into the movie itself. So
Yeah, very clever. You know what's great? You have no idea what the next sequel we're going to cover is.
I don't.
Which is cool. So now we just did a sort of female-driven sequel, because Bride of Frankenstein, even though it's only 4 minutes. So this one, we're going to be talking next week with a Jersey guy, Michael Testa. I talked to him. We connected on Facebook, and he is a casting director, born and raised in New Jersey. Actually, he grew up near Seton Hall, where my wife went to college. And it was cool to talk to him about his career, the way he got into the business, how he was casting movies from early on that were like kind of like these big movies. And then he connected with some people, got the right jobs, started writing. He recently had a Royal Montana Christmas movie that he wrote, I believe a Hallmark Lifetime movie. Big, got a ton of views that they were like pumping it like every week during the holidays. But of course, we're not going to be talking about some of the really good ones he did over the years.
Remember, I said we're starting off the 2026 as the year of good movies.
Year of good movies. And this might be a good movie. Never seen it. It's available on Tubi.
Oh, boy.
Wild Things 2. So Wild Things 2, sequel to the hot, this is what they have on IMDb. Sequel to the hot film Wild Things. Wild Things 2 sees teenage bad girls Maya and Brittany go on a sex and killing spree to win $1 million. It'll be great. You know what's funny? Michael doesn't even remember casting this movie. So that's how much maybe that he loved it. But yeah, he worked on some cool stuff.
So we're going from one of the first original sequels, that one of the movies that sequels might be better than the first movie, one of the best sequels of all time, to Wild Things 2, to a movie that's on Tubi.
Yep, Jersey's own Michael Testa, man.
Here we go.
One of his cool things is he cast it on Roswell. That was one of his early credits. He casted 60 episodes of that show, and then he did 87 episodes of Cold Case. And I think I talked to you after I chatted with him, or I think it was like November. One cool thing was he was casting the principal actor, and then for the flashback sequences, he had to cast somebody that looked like them younger. So it was a pretty cool challenge for him, and he loved it, man. He was a cool guy. I love chatting with him, and I'm cool this interview is finally coming out. So really cool. Casting people, we've talked to some legends. Fern, champion legend, that she has a new movie coming out that she casted with like Kevin Costner, a bunch of big names. Michael, same thing, worked on some really cool shows. Cool behind the scenes stuff on Roswell that I really enjoyed. That's one show that I remember it was on. I watched it, but I should go back and check it out again because, man, there's some really good people in that show. So,
why do I feel like the slide is about to start happening in the movies we're watching?
I don't think so. But Sadler was in that, so we talked about Sadler. Like, he didn't cast Sadler, but we talked about Sadler. So, yeah. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.